One of the titles on his record is just called Evil, one is called Lucifer, and one is called Antichrist.
They try to come and deal with you on a friendship level, and it's very calculated. It's done intended to disarm you, to make you get comfortable with these people and allow their suggestions in and try to make you forget that this is business.
For years now, the music industry has been pushing a subliminal message, influencing fans and followers to adapt specific signs and symbols. This messaging is peddled out by giant music machines in the name of art and free thinking, but others call it the Satanic Panic. Regardless, there's a deeper discourse here about selling your soul for fame and fortune. And now, some artists are finally exposing the truth of the music industry, even artists who were previously blinded by the industry. But before we can expose the industry, we need to see how deep its roots are, and how strongly they've embedded this message into our psyche. Starting with one of the biggest artists in the world, Eminem, and his new album, The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace. It started with a fake obituary for Slim Shady, the alter ego or evil twin of Eminem, published in the May 13th issue of the Detroit Free Press. In the photo, Eminem is dressed in overalls and a hockey mask as his Slim Shady character. And as country artist John Rich mentioned, the album track list boldly includes Antichrist, Lucifer, and Evil, along with showing Eminem in a body bag. And the message is not subtle. In the song Lucifer, he calls himself a lunatic and says that his mother spawned Lucifer. He goes on to talk about committing murder and eating breakfast next to the corpse of a woman, which is only shocking to people not familiar with Eminem's previous works. Going through the rest of the songs on his album, you see him call himself, or rather Slim Shady, evil, rotten, and the Antichrist. And although he uses these as metaphors for his struggles with fame and his past experiences, Eminem has talked more explicitly about these topics before, which is why his lyrics on the latest album are not shocking to longtime fans. They've been nurtured into it, and now they expect their idol to rap about devils and darkness because they've been hearing this from a young age.
And they have spent decades programming us from a young age to think those things are fine and normal, and they get rewarded for that. People that really serve the Father of Lies, they get rewarded by him when they proclaim his word and do what he tells them to do.
In 2009, Eminem had a song called My Darling in the Relapse album, where he specifically talks about selling his soul to the devil. The same goes for songs like Rock Bottom and Lucky You, and his music videos also include dark and provocative scenes. Why has it become so normal to showcase disturbing, anti-Christian sentiments in mainstream media? Throughout history, rock and roll and its offshoot, heavy metal, have been accused of promoting demonic symbolism. This began with blues guitarist Robert Johnson, who, in 1937, was rumored to have sold his soul to the devil for musical talent. And as rock music evolved, bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones incorporated more and more occult imagery. But it was with heavy metal that satanic and occult themes became central. Black Sabbath, for example, released their debut album in 1970 with a dark, ominous cover and tracks filled with eerie sounds. Two of the most common symbols used by the band were the Christian cross and the peace sign. But their Black Mass ritual referencing name and their role in creating a genre later associated with Satanism made them accidental Satan supporters. During the 70s and 80s, despite the public outcry against bands like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Alice Cooper, and Motley Crue for contributing to the Satanic Panic, many of these groups didn't actually believe in what they were singing about. Luciferian imagery was just edgy and trendy. Bloodied goblets of hollowed skulls and severed goat heads were controversial, but they sold because the devil was just that profitable as a theme. And by the late 80s, merely pretending to worship Beelzebub was tame. Underground metal was getting darker and heavier. Bands like Morbid Angel, Venom, Celtic Frost, and Deicide focused on Sumerian deities, mythical sorcery, and ancient incantations. But Norway's first wave of black metal artists actually took Satanism way more seriously. Mayhem, formed in 1984, had a more aggressive and dangerous approach to the subject. members would cut themselves on stage and impale animal heads on stakes. And with MTV growing in popularity around the 80s, we got even more heavy metal videos featuring outlandish themes for anybody, including children, to see. But when confronted, these artists always argued that their work was a form of artistic expression, a surreal or alternative way to discuss their struggles or talk about their dark pasts, that it was not endorsing or supporting evil. Maybe it was true then, but is it still true now? Or is there a higher cost now to fame and fortune?
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I mean, I made a bargain with it, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And this earth, and then in the world we can't see.
That's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil. Sold my soul to the devil.
Their words might be meant literally or metaphorically, but the point is they are making these statements, which seem to align with a certain ideology. Even artists who claim to be atheists and not believe in a god or a devil use certain symbols in their art because they believe it signifies freedom.
Because the devil for me represents rock and roll, film, freedom, humor, essentially my life, my background. Because it's so colored with so many blasphemous expressions. But I think that's one of the most common misconceptions, or that makes it so hard for people to fathom that there's obviously the biblical devil, and then you have the pop cultural devil. The pop cultural devil being very much a representative of freedom and intellectualism and liberation.
Subtly, subliminally, this message has been infiltrating the music industry for decades.
When did it become clear to you that this was a theology, that these people were working knowingly or not on behalf of evil, actual evil? When did that dawn on you?
Well, they got so arrogant with it, it seems like in maybe the last less than 10 years. I don't know what happened on their side, but I guess they got the green light to go all the way in. And that's when you started seeing, for instance, Grammy Award performances where people are literally coming out wearing satanic symbols. They are carrying out, I guess they were mock seances, but I mean, it looked pretty real to me.
There's no denying that artists are getting bolder and bolder with a very specific message. And if this truly is just artistic expression, why is every artist resorting to the same symbols? Wouldn't artistry require you to come up with different and unique ways to talk about pain and suffering? Instead, the audience is bombarded with just one kind of message. Beyoncé, for example, is known to incorporate certain hand gestures and symbols in her performances and music videos. One of the most popular symbols is the triangle hand gesture, often associated with the Illuminati. Miley Cyrus, especially in the early 2010s, embraced an edgy persona that included a variety of provocative imagery, like the use of certain costumes, gestures, and props in her performances. Artists like Lady Gaga and Rihanna have also used similar provocative symbols in their music videos and stage sets. And in May 2024, Madonna was accused of showcasing incredibly disturbing acts on stage without warning the audience. We're also getting similar messages in milder ways. For example, in Billie Eilish's song, All the Good Girls Go to Hell, she sings about wanting the devil on her team, implying that dark forces are more powerful and more appealing. And yes, these lyrics could just be metaphorical, but that is irrelevant, because these lyrics still contribute to a certain belief that goodness and God are not as powerful or influential as negative forces. So, is the industry just lacking new and fresh ways to talk about darker themes? Or are they stuck on one particular symbol for a reason?
Why are they pushing Satan worship on television?
Because they're doing the work of their father, just like I am.
Wow. And there's kind of no denying. I mean, they're not getting richer by pushing satanic symbols.
Sure they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the industry, the way those movie industries, music industries, all of that, now not everybody in those industries obviously is, some kind of a Satan worshiper or something, but there's a lot of that in there. They get rewarded for that. People that really serve the father of lies, they get rewarded by him when they proclaim his word and do what he tells them to do.
And this negative messaging has better press. Stars like Beyonce, Eminem, Doja Cat, Sam Smith, and others have huge record labels backing up their provocative lyrics and videos, giving them money and expansive reach to ensure their songs stay on top of the charts. All of this has led to the misconception that negative forces are more powerful.
Massive record labels, massive radio play, massive budgets to push and promote and manipulate media and get his song out there. These guys have all these massive budgets, the entertainment value, the ability to produce those things at such a high level, it's impossible to look away from it. It's like boom, pow, huge, special effects, all this stuff, and everybody's just mesmerized, and it's going right into them.
Biblically speaking, of course, dark forces are not more powerful than the ultimate good. In Scripture, even when Satan wanted to test Job, he had to ask God for permission first. This highlights that evil is not on par with the ultimate good. It's not even close. But the second big issue here is that the idea of Satanism is essentially about extreme selfishness. It says you can be your own God, which, according to the Bible, is simply not true. The Bible says we are made in God's image and are accountable to Him. Aleister Crowley, a well-known occultist, famously said, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law," meaning, do whatever makes you happy and follow your own truth. In contrast, the Bible says to fear God and keep His commandments. Neither you nor the devil is God, but each person is quickly becoming the center of their own universe instead of embracing humility and groundedness. This idea is not new. It goes back to Genesis 3, where Satan, in the form of a serpent, lied to Eve about what would happen if she ate the forbidden fruit. He said, "For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." This was a direct lie. Their eyes were opened in a way, but not like God. They were broken by sin. And similar lies are told to artists today, but instead of knowledge, they're promised unlimited wealth and influence. And with that influence, artists can continue to promote everything wrong, taboo, or perverse as edgy or trendy. It's a self-feeding machine. The more success these artists get, the more people get encouraged to perform provocative acts to achieve that success. And it goes on. The machine pretends to be your friend and your family, luring you over to the dark side. And now, some artists are exposing it.
Where these people come and deal with you, right?
He said these people...
They try to come and deal with you on a friendship level, and it's very calculated. It's done intended to disarm you, to make you get comfortable with these people and allow their suggestions in and try to make you forget that this is business.
How they kind of blur the lines between business and friendship and family. Even we're family, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be like, we not family.
Yeah.
The minute I can't provide with your services, I ain't your brother no more, you know what I'm saying?
Rappers Ransom and Paul Kane sat down to talk about things less talked about concerning the business of music. How people's friendly demeanor is really a facade to further business interests, and how, if you want to protect yourself, strict boundaries are necessary. The podcast also touched on whether success in the industry is possible without playing these games, and Ransom affirmed that it is possible, but not at all easy. He said that while some artists might play along to get ahead, it's also possible to achieve success without compromising personal principles. Of course, that's the longer road, and not the most exciting for artists who have gone big. Fortunately, though, we are waking up. Once upon a time, antics of off-the-rails pop stars were seen as cool or aspirational. But today, even younger millennials and Gen Z are seeing the perverted nature of mainstream artists.
Like, she's dressing up like the devil at every event that she attends. She's using demons in all of her album promotion, and it's just getting very out of hand.
Younger people also want less sexualized content in media and are gravitating towards more wholesome songs and films, thanks in part to other creators making an effort to produce that content. Creators like John Rich, who recently released a song called Revelation, which talks about John's words in the book of Revelation. More importantly, he talks about how he had to make a video that would appeal to an audience that is used to high-budget, overproduced music videos.
And so Revelation is the other side of that. That's why I went to such extremes with this video, because I wanted it to compete visually with what people are used to seeing. I didn't want it to be like some one-dimensional looking thing. I wanted it to be up to the level to what people are used to seeing. If we're going to combat, if we're going to present both sides, play at a high level. Bring it at a high level. And that's why we went so far with it.
And John Rich doesn't have the same machines backing him up as Lil Nas X or Eminem. What John has is a P.O. box called Rich Records LLC. He's the president, founder, and sole employee of this label. He doesn't have anyone pushing his songs. It's all about people who hear it, and, if they like it, share it with others. Promoting a song without the help of this music machine requires more outreach and effort on his part. But for him, that's a better way to go about it than, essentially, selling his soul to get his music out there. And it makes sense, because his message doesn't align with the industry's main agenda. And if it doesn't align, it's gone, as explained by Lil Nas X himself. But the kicker is, even redemption becomes a marketing ploy. In January of 2024, Lil Nas X started posting a series of TikToks about exposing the music industry, which was apparently forcing him to spread specific messages through his music. He used religious imagery, including posing himself as Jesus Christ. In all of these messages, placing himself as the person who would bring down the industry. His comments were flooded with supportive messages, wishing him well and calling him back to the side of God. And after the controversy with his earlier music videos, this would be a welcome change. After garnering tons of online support for his new music, promising a complete rebrand, when the J. Christ music video finally dropped, it was hardly what people expected. It wasn't gospel. It wasn't respectful. And it didn't expose anything about the industry. But it did tell us things like redemption and forgiveness are jokes to the music machine. And if we're waiting for a change, we'll be waiting forever. Possibly the best thing we can do is be more mindful of the music we consume and understand the subliminal messages being peddled to us by them. Because even if the younger generation is ready to move on to music with better values, it will always be harder to discover that art compared to what the mainstream media will put right in front of us.
Yeah.